Meeple Nation Podcast, episode 545. Meeple Nation September 2024 news.
Welcome, citizens, to Meeple Nation. Grab your favorite beverage, pull up a chair, warm up those dice, and join us at the game table as we discuss board games and the board gaming world. Each week, the hosts of Meeple Nation share their love for board games and the amazing memories that come from playing games with some very outstanding people. Let us now join our hosts in their natural habitat, the game table.
The Meeple Nation podcast is sponsored by GameToppersLLC.com. If you have ever considered a game room upgrade, or maybe you've seen toppers at a convention, because Berkey has them everywhere. In fact, a lot of conventions use them for the hot games tables. So if you've seen those, if you've been curious about them at all, you owe it to yourself to go check out GameToppersLLC.com. They have table toppers, they've got full table solutions, game mats, and a bunch of accessories, everything your heart could possibly desire to make games epic and amazing in your game room. So go check them out at GameToppersLLC.com.
We are the hosts of Meeple Nation. I'm Nathan Howard.
And I am Douglas Stewart.
Doug, it's just the two of us.
It's just the two of us.
Just you and I.
Me and you.
And I don't remember where that song goes, but it is just the two of us.
Well, we could start singing it if you want.
That's all I remember.
Okay. It'd be short.
Yes, it would be very short.
Yeah, we just got back from SaltCON, and Andy got a case of the old Rona.
Yes.
So
he got the con crud, the con crud with the capital crud. So hopefully he was not a super spreader.
For real.
I mean, I don't.
Well, it's kind of odd because he came home and said he wasn't feeling good, so he got tested. It was positive. And not to get too into it, but I still am a little leery about the, how good those tests are, the accuracy of those tests. But he did get a positive test, but I don't know anybody else that played there with us that got it. Yeah. All of the Meeple Nation folks that were there, I think, came away totally fine. So I'm not sure where he got it. Maybe he got it there. He probably got it there.
I would say somebody probably shared it with him.
Yeah.
But then looking back, I didn't play a single game with. Nope, I did play Pirates of Maracaibo. That was the first game I played, and that's the only game I played with Andy. So
yeah, I think we played one game with Andy. Yeah. Lydia and I did. So anyway, we are missing Andy, and Sierra was out of town, so it's just the two of us.
You and I just.
Hey, now don't start that again.
Well, since we're talking about SaltCON, why don't we dig into some SaltCON highlight?
Let's do it.
So I already mentioned that we started off the SaltCON correctly by playing Pirates of Maracaibo without you, Doug.
Yeah,
For some reason, we just.
I keep missing it. Every time it hits the table, I'm gone for one reason or another. I've decided that maybe this just isn't the game for me. Maybe the universe is saying this is not a game you should play.
Well, if that's what the universe is saying, the universe is lying, because this game is awesome.
That's what you guys keep saying.
And I remember we started it, and I think you were playing something else on the other table, and you made the comment that we wouldn't be done in time. And we were able to play Maracaibo pretty darn quick. I do, and not that just because I'm saying that we're really good at it or efficient, but Pirates of the Maracaibo?
Yeah, Pirates of the Maracaibo.
How about just Pirates of Maracaibo?
Is that the next Pirates of the Caribbean movie?
Kind of,
Pirates
yeah.
of the Caribbean.
Pirates of the Maracaibo.
I like it.
But it does play really fast. And you just play 3 rounds, and we played with Greg's daughter, Stasia, and often you'll run into that game where somebody is treating it like it's a race, and that game played in probably right around 45 minutes.
Yeah.
And it was both Stasia's and Zach, her friend. We had to teach both of them, and with the teach, we were done in under an hour.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah. And that's because Stasia had played it, so we were just teaching it to Zach, and Stasia just took right off and was like, it's not a race, Stasia.
Yeah, that's how I feel when I play against you.
Yeah.
And Andy. I'm like, hey guys, don't you want to try to do stuff as you go around the board when we play Pirates of Maracaibo?
Yeah.
Sorry. It's not Pirates.
No,
what's the other one? What's the normal one?
It's just
Maracaibo. Yeah.
Wow, I was confused too. I was like, I totally forgot.
My brain did a weird thing there. So yeah, when we play just Maracaibo, that's how I feel. I'm just like, you guys know you can do stuff as you go around the board. And it seems like both you and Andy are like, nope, I'm only stopping at 2 places. I'm done. This round's over.
Trying to get quests,
it's over. Come on.
Stuff done.
Next round.
Yep.
And then it's like, oh, okay. And then you go to the next round, and it seems like Andy does it again. And then you go into the third round, and then it's like, fine, 2 can play at that game. And so I'll motor around the board and grab a bunch of stuff, and everyone's like, what are you doing? It's not a race for Maracaibo. It's like, come on, you got to be kidding.
Yeah, well, you're going to feel that a lot more in Pirates of Maracaibo.
Oh, okay.
Because it is, in fact, it is not a race, but when somebody reaches the end, when they reach the Bay of Maracaibo, everybody else has 1 more turn, and then the next turn, that whoever hit the Bay of Maracaibo is going to go to Maracaibo, and then we'll reset the round. In my 5 plays, I have reached Maracaibo once.
Yeah, that sounds probably right.
Yeah. So it is, some players definitely feel that it is a race. And there are things that they are trying to achieve. And Stacia did pretty good on this last round. And I believe she won. So it was a race that paid off for her. But most of the time, the people that are in that rush to get to the end usually are not the winners.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
But Stacia did it very well, and she was victorious. So, but Pirates of Maracaibo is an amazing game. I very much love it. And when we're done here, Doug, maybe we should just play it.
Yeah. Well, if we can hurry it up. So what else you got? Because I think we're about ready to wrap this episode up, right?
About ready.
Was that
we're
it?
done.
We're done. And let's go play. I don't know. That sounds good to me. I love it.
Yeah, no, it's. I think you will very much like it.
Awesome. That's great. Well, I taught Robot Quest Arena, which is, I think, a fantastic game. This is by Wise Wizard Games, and it uses kind of their familiar deck building formula. This is kind of the same one that they use for Star Realms and Hero Realms. If you've played those, the deck building will be incredibly familiar. But in this game, you are these fun little robots bouncing all over an arena, trying to damage each other. And it's one of those games that has take that, but it's not the feel bad kind of take that, because you just immediately respawn and it's just whoever has the most points based on the stuff you do. But the more that I play this game, the more I really, really like it. When I first played it, I was like, oh, okay, this is pretty simple. There's not a lot of strategy, or there's not a lot of like emergent depth, kind of thing. But the more I played it, the more I've realized that's totally wrong. There's a lot of strategy going on and a lot of different builds you can make and ways of sort of playing the center of the map and the corners and doing some various kind of strategic fun things. So I've had a really good time playing Robot Quest Arena.
Yeah, I very much enjoyed the one play that I've played, and I could feel that everybody was being far more efficient at it than I was. So I definitely see some replayability options out there that will give more experience, or will not give more experience, but will be beneficial to the more experienced player. And I see replayability quite a bit. And it's fairly short, and it's just a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It's a very simple,
it's a quick burst
game.
of fun, and then it's over, and it's great. It's also super easy to set up, which is something that I really like about it. Throw the board out, throw some tiles down, everyone picks their robot, you shuffle some cards, and you go. So I've been enjoying that one more and more and more. And recently they did some Kickstarter stuff for that with like some extra, like a bunch of extra stuff. So there's some additional robots and some bigger boards and a lot more cards and some things like that that are coming down the pipe that I'm looking forward to getting my hands on. It will be it will be awesome.
It will be awesome.
Awesome.
Yes, yeah. I agree.
Don't know where that came from.
Maybe you're just thinking of Essen.
It's gonna be awesome.
It's gonna be awesome. Good times. Well, the next game I played was one that I was leading or teaching, and that was Star Wars Bounty Hunters, which was, a fairly recent acquisition. And I thought this game is going to be very simple, easy to teach, and fun. And it was just that. Where there was all new players. So I did have... Nope, we did get Andy to play. So Andy was experienced as well.
Was that one play 5 or 6?
6.
6, yeah. I like it for that reason.
Yeah. And I think it's the gameplay is very simple. You put down a target, you add your bounty hunters to it. You can have multiple targets. The game goes until somebody has captured 4 targets, and then you go around 2 more times. And as we talked about it last time, it's a perpetual draft game, meaning that you're always going to be handed a hand of 4, and you're going to add a 5th card to it of your choice. and then you're going to draft 1 card and pass, and then you're going to receive 4 cards.
And you just do that over and over and over, and it works really good.
Yeah, I was really surprised.
It's a simple card game. I mean, it's not like there's not a ton of depth to it. It's not the kind of game that's going to like take over your world or anything. But considering that it's just a little box with a bunch of cards, I really enjoy this game. I like it a lot. I'm not very good at it. I have yet to win a game of bounty hunters, but...
So when I told everybody that the heart of the game, or the heart of the score, is on acquiring contracts. So you want to have contracts that are duplicated characters. So not a wide spectrum of contracts, but contracts that you can double dip into.
Right.
And so I apparently had made that fairly clear, because a lot of people, that contract that contract deck was almost depleted. And in fact, it did get depleted. It did get completed on the last round, and we had to reshuffle that.
Okay.
And it was very relevant in the score.
Yeah.
Because everybody tried to, they tried to stick with their 4 targets, because that triggers the end game, but just trying to manage their bounty hunters well. And it worked out really good. I very much enjoy this game. Quick, easy to teach, and big fun ensued.
Awesome. Yeah, that's a great one. Another game that I taught at SaltCON was Evenfall. And this is one, I've talked about it in the past, and I know I had shared this before, but this one just caught my eye, the gameplay, the art, everything, quite a while back. So I pre-ordered it, waited for a long time, finally got my copy. It was missing cards, so I had to go to the publisher, and eventually, actually, it was Miniature Market that ended up sending me replacement cards for it. So I was super excited. I was able to get it finally learned just right before the convention. It was right down to about a week before. And I was like, oh boy, this is going to be a ride. So we managed to sneak 1 play of it in at Andy's house late one night before the convention. And then taught it at the convention. And boy, this is a game that I really, really like. Evenfall is super fun. It's great. And Andy and I did talk about this. It was kind of on our highlight after we had played the episode that we recorded. I don't remember what number that was off the top of my head, but we did kind of go into it. So I won't go into it a lot now, but you basically play as these witch covens, and you're sending your witches out kind of in worker placement style, but there's a lot more to it. And of course it uses really fantastic multi-use cards and has a whole plethora of ways to score points. I've really enjoyed this game. Evenfall's awesome.
It looked really cool. The table presence was very nice.
Yeah.
And it seemed like everybody that was playing it very much enjoyed it as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a really fun game. And lots of, that's one of those where it's fairly easy to learn, but now that I've played it a couple times, I can see there are a host of different strategies to earning points and doing well at that game. You're kind of figuring it out on that first play, and then when we played it at the convention, it was like, oh, I can start to see the paths here, and there's quite a few of them, and they're a lot of fun.
Good. That's nice that we had so many games that we can see that replayability. For sure. Those games shine, and those tend to stay in our collections a lot longer.
Yeah, I mean, it makes you feel good about keeping them on the shelf for a little while too, because you're going to get more plays and stuff out of them. I mean, games are expensive. A lot of them are. And, if you're just going to play them once and they're just going to waste away on your shelf after that, you start feeling like, man, I didn't really get a lot of value out of that. And so, I have plenty of games where I've played them once and then sold them and recouped most of the cost. And it's like, okay, it was probably worth paying for that one play that I got, considering what it ended up being at the end. But some of these games, it's nice when they're going to stay on the shelf and they're going to get pulled off the shelf, and you're going to get some real use out of them. There's some real value to be found there.
Yeah, that is always nice. So the next one I taught, I didn't get to play, and I have shared my newfound love for this game, and that is Captain Flip. And everybody that played it very much enjoyed it. In fact, they played it. It's a pretty quick game. We had an hour allotted for this game, and they played quick enough that they could play a different map and get something else or try it again.
Yeah, it's definitely one that plays fast. It's a really fast game.
And everybody was of the same opinion that this is a great game. I see the replayability of it. It's really quick, fun, and easy to teach and easy to introduce those non-gamers to. Great gateway game. And again, I apologize for knocking it on the the Spiel des Jahres, because it is definitely something that is fits right into that mold and is a great, quick little game.
That's fantastic. Awesome. A couple of games that I got to play, and I'll just mention them fast here because they're games we've talked about many, many times previously on the podcast, but got to play Forest Shuffle again while we were at the convention, and that was a really, really fun game. Had a great time. It was a pretty tight score when the dust settled. And then the other one that we got to play that I haven't played in a little while, but it's a game that I really love and it's super high on my list, and that is After Us. And I was very excited that we got to play After Us and got to teach that to some new people. We played it at a full 6-player count. And the thing that I love about that game, and it always blows me away, is that even at a full player count, it does not add a lot of time to the gameplay because it's all simultaneous play.
Yeah.
Love that.
Well, both my daughter and her new shadow, Zach, got to play After Us. Mm-hmm. So her friend Zach came and was able to learn and play a lot of new games to him.
Yeah.
Ashley had played After Us, so she was somewhat familiar, but he got to play After Us. And Greg also ran Forest Shuffle, and they both got to play that. That was new to both of them, and they very much liked Forest Shuffle and were very anxious to play it again and really wanted to play it almost as much as they enjoyed Draft and Write Records.
Oh, good. Did they get to play that too?
Yeah, they got to play that. I taught them that, and then they wanted to play it again, so we played it again. That's
actually usually the response I get when I teach that to new players. It's like, oh, let's play it again.
Yeah.
Like, this sheet has a backside, right? Oh, let's just play it again.
Yep, yeah. And then I found it on the table next to us a little bit later, and just her and Zach were playing it by themselves. And it works out great. The deck, you can add and remove cards to get from that 2 to 6 players. The game is still one of my favorite games, very much like Draft and Write Records. But yeah, Ashley and Zach very much liked After Us, Forest Shuffle, and Draft and Write Records.
Yeah,
All
that's awesome.
plays.
Those are great games. Yeah, that's super cool. I think Draft and Write Records has replaced Twilight Inscription as my number one roll and write.
Yeah, I think so too. I just
flip and write, whatever.
Yeah,
in all those types of games.
And I really do like Twilight Inscription, but
I love it too.
Fire hose of intake to try to teach that to a new player,
it's
as opposed to Draft and Write, which there is a lot coming in at Draft and Write because it is a busy board.
It is.
But I do like that Draft and Write, you can, there's a lot of reaction, right? Like, I did this, gives me this, gives me this, gives me this.
Yeah. The accessibility is what pushes it over the edge for me.
Yeah.
Draft and Write is much more accessible. And as a result, it's getting played a lot more. In fact, there was a copy of Twilight Inscription for fairly cheap in the
Game
Swap there.
Yeah, I saw it.
And I actually considered picking it up because I love the game so much, but both you and Andy have it, and I was just like, well, considering the opportunities I would have to actually play it, there's no need for me to throw it on the shelf because anytime we play it, it's with you or Andy. So
yeah,
so I didn't feel compelled to own it, and then I got thinking about it. I was like, yeah. As good as this game is, I think Draft and Write is better just because it's so accessible.
Yep. And it's funny, Andy has taken it off. It's on his no play list because he had 2 games of schlackings right in a row.
Oh, of Draft and Write?
Yeah, of Draft and Write.
Yeah.
And
he says that, but
yeah. Well, he had the opportunity to play it the other day, and he's like, "Nope, I'm not playing."
Oh, okay. He's really has. Oh, he's sticking to
now.
It. Yeah, we'll see how long that lasts.
Yeah, but the game I played, I couldn't get any harmonies. I didn't have any chain reactions, and I lost horribly. I was dead last. And I was a good 60 points behind the next to last person.
I've had games exactly like that. It is swingy. Draft and Write is very swingy, and I will say that. And some people don't like that. I think that's probably why Andy struggles with this because it is swingy, and he had a couple of bad games. But the game we just finished online was horrible for me. I mean, I was probably the same, like 80, 100 points behind the next. I mean, you and Jody had like 200 and I think you were 180-ish, something like that. And I was down at like 62 points, 82 maybe. I don't remember. 82. Yeah, but it was, but it was still really fun. I mean, it was still great. And here's the thing, the one thing about that game, and I will say this, you never really give up hope with that game, because even when you're getting beat really bad, every now and then you will just get a card that just triggers a whole cascade of stuff across the board. Like, you know what I mean? Like, okay, this is the perfect band member to put right here. And it's going to trigger, 2 harmonies. And then those harmonies are going to trigger this and this. And then that's going to come over. That's going to let me fill in a whole section over here. That's going to give me bonuses up here and over here. And it's one of those where you almost have to like stop and really slowly, one piece at a time, mark stuff on your map, because you'll actually get lost in the number of bonuses you'll trigger.
Right, and forget stuff.
And you'll forget stuff.
Yeah.
And so you never really give up hope, because it is possible to just have an insane round where you just score 100, 150 points in one go just because of all the stuff that you trigger. So as swingy as it is, it's never out of reach to win the game, I feel like.
Yeah.
So I really like that about it.
No, it's a great game for sure. So the next game I got to teach was Let's Go to Japan, which I had taught at summer. And I really enjoy this game.
I love Let's Go to Japan.
Yeah.
Oof.
I made one fatal error, though. I did teach one very
just a small rule,
just a little
bitty thing,
very drastic influences. I told everybody that they were going to have 4 cards on each day.
Yeah, it's
3 cards.
Yeah, which makes a big difference, because the way the rounds are structured, it is structured to give you exactly 3 on each one of those. And the only way to go more than that is to take the walks.
Yeah.
And so, like that might sound like a small thing, but that's a game breaking thing.
Yep. And I wasn't really paying attention. I was just watching and answering questions as they were going. And then they ran out of, on the round, and they're like, wait a minute, I don't have my stuff on. I'm like, yeah, your teacher needs to be fired. Everybody still had a lot of fun with it. And
you said 3 of the people who played that game, like even with that, they still liked it enough that they went and played it again.
Yes. Yeah.
So
yeah, there was enough time that 3 of the 5 players stuck around and played it again. So.
Yeah. We had an opportunity to kind of talk about that there at the convention, but I had said, and I stand by it, I think that Let's Go to Japan has crept onto my probably top 20 list of all time. Now, we haven't sat down and done like a top 10, top 20, top 50, whatever, we haven't sat down and done that, I think, for a really long time.
Yeah.
And so I would need to go through the rankings and really see where all of my games sort of sit as far as that goes. But I'm positive it's like a top 20 game for me at this point. I love that game. It's fantastic.
Do we need to do that coming up again? I mean, it's been a while. Do we need to revisit that where we talk about our top 10?
I would love to do that, but I would love to do it as a series where maybe we count down from like 30, 40, 50. I don't know. A lot of people do that. And I like listening to those episodes. I like hearing people's thoughts, but they'll do like 10 at a time, counting down from 50, that kind of thing. So, if we wanted to stretch that over a few episodes and do something like that, I'd be totally down with doing that. I think that'd be just a whole lot of fun. If listeners, if you have an opinion on that, if that's something you'd be interested in hearing us do, reach out to us at meeplenation@gmail.com and let us know.
Yes, for sure.
Okay. So the next one on my list was Cthulhu Death May Die. Now, again, I have previously talked about this because we ran the epic scenario with the massive Cthulhu statue in the middle of the table, which was awesome.
It got a lot of head turns.
A lot of head turns. So we had to pause the game very frequently so that people could take pictures. So, but no, we had such a blast playing that epic scenario. Now, I talked about this before because I just played like myself. You're supposed to play 5 investigators. So I just played 5 by myself to make sure I understood how the scenario worked. And it was really close, but I pulled off the win. So at the convention, I was a little bit worried because when you're playing, you kind of know what you want to do with each character. It's a little different. And so, I was worried that with 5 pretty different and unique personalities at the table, I was like, okay, how's this going to go down in terms of a cooperative experience? And man, everybody loved it. And it was awesome because it generated a lot of conversation. Like, okay, well, what if you did this? What if I did this? Because it's a hard scenario and you really have to coordinate what you're doing and how you're going to do it in order to pull off the win. But man, it turned out really good. It ended up being that we pulled a lot of monsters to one spot and gave them a good killing. And in this scenario, when monsters die, they drop energy. And then you can use that energy to charge spells. And so we dropped a whole mountain of energy in one spot. And then we had Zach, who is Stasia's friend, right? So Zach, we had him grab that energy and go climb up to Cthulhu's head, and then he sacrificed himself in a massive explosion that took out Cthulhu's head.
Awesome.
Just as we had finished off both of the legs. So in order to win, you got to take out the head and at least two of the appendages, arms and legs. And so we did it all in like the final 2 turns was all the damage we needed, including this big cinematic finish where he sacrificed himself to blow up Cthulhu's head. It was awesome.
There was sad music and everything, I bet.
I mean, the whole scenario is set up as a suicide mission.
Right.
So it's just thematic and fun. It was great. Yeah.
I remember I was overhearing you talk about that you had said as you were nearing the end of the game that you had told the people playing with you that you felt that it was a very somatic game, and that's great that it had ended equally as gratifying. So
yeah, it was really fun. Had a great time.
So the last game I played on Friday or helped run was we usually do Werewolf there.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And we sacrificed Werewolf this time, and Brent Mayer, one of our emeritus hosts, was running this game with me, and we had I think we started off with 34 people, and we did 4 games of 2 Rooms and a Boom instead of Werewolf, and people were really enjoying it. It doesn't have the player elimination that Werewolf has. It does kind of, and I guess Werewolf does the same thing. It does kind of lead for the alpha gamers to come out, those personalities to come out and kind of run the show in 2 Rooms and a Boom that are very aggressive about trying to get the information. But it worked out very well. After each round, we would lose a couple of people, and the 4th round that we did, we were down to, I think we were still down to 22 people, and so it went really well. Everybody had a ton of fun with this. In fact, these were Brent's copies of 2 Rooms and a Boom, and I went ahead and ordered 2 copies from the game site as well. The whoever they are, I can't remember.
Whoever does 2 Rooms and a Boom. Well, cool. Yeah, these aren't really my kind of games, but maybe not. In future I could try.
Yeah, I think this one is, and I see that it's not Werewolf, right? And I see the anxiety and the fear of the social interaction and not the social interaction, but the tale telling that comes with Werewolf. And I see the anxiety that gives people. And I think you would not experience that same feeling with 2 Rooms and a Boom because it's very much different. There was a lot of people, so you have information that's on the card. To give kind of a quick rundown of the game, for the most part, there's 2 teams. There's a red team and a blue team. Red team has the bomber, and blue team has the president. And the game is played over 5 rounds, and there's a leader in each room. So you have 2 rooms that are separated by a hall usually, or in our case, a door. We had one group in the hall and one group in the Zephyr room. And you have a leader in each room, and then that leader is going to send people to the other side. Leader's going to send 5 people from one room on each side, and they're going to swap hostages is what they call it. And so they're trying to negotiate where the bomb is and where the president is. And people have a card, and they're going to have to keep that card secret. But then they run around with each other and they say, hey, you want to show me what color you are? And so you hold it in your hand and you just expose your color. And then they're like, okay, hey, do you want to do a full card share? And if you do, then you kind of provide that information. And in the game goes that the president needs to find the doctor. So the president can't just hide who they are. They have to share that knowledge enough so that they can try to get that information. But you don't want to share it openly because you don't want the blue team or the red team to find out who the president is, and just try to get all that information and go back and forth. And it is pretty chaotic, but it turns out to be a lot of fun. And it plays up to 30 players if you're with the single copy. And like I said, we had 34. So we put together 2 boxes and it worked out really good. So
cool. Now that does sound like a little bit more of something that I might enjoy.
Yeah.
For me, it's just the whole okay, so for example, if you're playing Werewolf, it's like if I'm a villager and people are accusing me of being a werewolf. Okay.
Yeah, that happens.
It's like, oh, okay. I mean, I guess kill me then and find out for sure. Like, I don't, other than saying like, I'm not the werewolf, I'm a villager, I don't understand what the strategy is. Do you know what I mean? And I get that people lie, and some people are really good about making up stories and kind of making it fun, but it's all just window dressing for essentially the same thing. I'm not this, or I am this. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
And that's really all it is. And I think that's why I struggle with some of those games, is because it's just, you're just putting window dressing on a lie or a truth, if that's, what you're doing. But Two Rooms and a Boom seems like it has a little more strategy, like a little bit more of like, okay, like I'm kind of whittling things down and trying to do stuff using actual intel, like real information. And that sounds like more my cup of tea.
Yeah. So. Yeah. I do think if you get past the fact, well, I guess mostly Andy, if Andy could get past the fact that it is a social game, then it is something that you can very much enjoy without having to Andy said he enjoys watching Werewolf get played, or Salem, or some of the others that we've played.
Sure.
But
he's usually playing a game in the other room. He's just hearing.
Yeah.
Like it's just overhearing. It's not like he's there with you, like actively watching the game. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so, and I enjoy that too. I mean, it was sort of like when you guys played Salem at MonCon, and we were overplaying a game. Well, it was actually, we were overplaying the two bad games of Draft and Write Records. The ones they weren't bad, but they were bad for Andy. Yeah. We were over there while you guys were yelling at each other in the other corner. And so, it was funny. It was funny hearing you guys yell and scream at each other, and the funny things you were saying about who did this and who did what. And well, you can go jump off a cliff, all these funny things. And I get that. I get that there is a spectator side to those types of games.
Well, in Spectator, we played years ago, we played Snake Oil, which is a really crappy game. And yes, I did buy a copy of it just this last SaltCON.
I saw that in your pile.
Yes. It was $5. Best $5 I spent.
Best? Okay. I might challenge that, but okay. Yeah. But for $5, you're not out much.
Yeah. No, I'm not out anything. My wife hates that game. But the same reason that Andy does. But at the same point, I think if my wife just sat and watched and was entertained by the stories, much like Andy and Sabrina were when we played it the first time, it can be a very entertaining game to just watch. But anyways, Two Rooms and a Boom has far more strategy than most of those other social games. So what did you play next, Doug?
Okay, so another couple I'll mention that we just got to play again, and we've talked about these before, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time, but Art Society, my wife joined us for a little bit. She wanted to play that. Andy joined us. Had another great play of Art Society. I really enjoyed it. And
how did Andy like it?
He actually did. He liked it quite a bit. Yeah, I think he did enjoy it. I don't think he's going to rush out to buy a copy, but he enjoyed it. It was a good experience for him.
Yeah, this is one I still want to play with Cheryl and you guys. So
for sure, yeah, I really like it. So I'll absolutely play it. The thing is, this last play, I really felt like I was doing good. Like I actually really did feel. The first time we played it, I was like, I don't know where I'm at, and then my wife she came, buzzing through at the end with a bunch of points, and I was like, holy cow, how'd you do that? And then this game, I felt really confident, and we got to tallying up points, and I was like, oh yeah, I'm doing pretty good. And then of course Lydia again just
smashed.
Just crushed us. Yeah, she knows how to put the right things in like the eye line. There's an eye line part of the wall that you're supposed to decorate, and she just I don't know, she just did a really, really good job.
Good for her.
So she uses a lot of little paintings, and so the number of them add up at the end with the multipliers and everything. So yeah, she's got this game figured out. She had a great time. So that was good. And then we played Mlem, and the Cat Space Agency, whatever that is. I love that game, actually. I think it's a ton of fun. I have never seen worse dice rolling. Lydia and I played that with Mike, and all three of us had the worst dice rolling. I'm not even kidding you when I say we all scored in like the teens and 20s.
All your rockets were blown up?
Yeah, the rockets got blown up. That was how the game ended. We each had cats left over on our boards. Like the dice rolls were absolutely horrible. But we still had a ton of fun playing.
Oh, good. Yeah, that was one. Ashley's a big cat person, and she was way excited that this was a cat game, that Mlem, because she's very familiar with the phrase Mlem. And she's like, this is a cat game. And she really wanted to play it. And I was like, well, I do have this and you can play it, but you can't play with them right now. Because she was signed up for something else at the same time.
Oh.
Yeah. But speaking of other treasures that we found in the game swap, James was in the game swap with me. We were wandering around, and there was a copy of Lost Cities in there.
Oh,
and
okay.
James really likes to play with games.
The original card game, or was it
card game?
I mean, there's a ton of versions. It was just the original card game.
The original card game.
Nice.
And James plays a ton of games with just he and his wife. And I told him, you got to pick up this game. This is a great game. And it was only $10. And I was like, this is a steal of a game for $10.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And he's like, I don't know. And I was like, you buy it, let's go play it. And if you don't if you don't like it afterwards, I'll buy it and do something with it.
Sure. Yeah.
And so I went and I taught him how to play Lost Cities, and he was very excited. So after we got through and I totally kicked his butt, he was very excited to take it home and teach his wife, because it is one that's just going to be right up their alley, that they're just going to be able to sit down and play.
Well, it's such a simple premise, but just so fun, because it's 2 players and it's just back and forth, and it's just play a card, pick a card, play a card, pick a card. And you just go and go and go. And then when you're done, you just shuffle it up and go again, and shuffle it up and go again. You just go and go and go. Yeah. Lost Cities. So the copy of that I have sitting on my shelf has probably been played, and I'm not trying to exaggerate. I'm willing to put money that it has been played more than 200 times.
Oh, really? That's a lot.
Easily. Because my kids pull this off and play it all the time. In fact, I almost need to go buy a new copy, because the copy, it's not sleeved or anything like that. And so the cards are just hammered. They are just haggard. Yeah.
I do need to sleeve mine, because as we were playing, it does get roughed up for sure.
Yeah, it really does. Yeah.
Because there's a lot of shuffling. And
I don't know. At what point do you just say, okay, this copy's been loved so much, we'll just go buy a new one and let it be loved?
As long as it's available out there.
I guess that's true. I kind of always felt like Lost Cities was a little bit. Is it not available?
I don't know. I haven't looked at it for a long time.
Maybe it is out of print, so maybe I ought to take better care of it. I don't know. But it gets played a lot.
Now we'll pause. We all go to BG.
Yeah. So a quick internet search shows that it is available through multiple sites.
Okay.
$19 on Amazon right now. So
yeah, that goes way back to 1999.
Yeah, it's an old one, but a good one. An old Reiner Knizia.
Yeah.
Solid gold. Love it.
One place has it for $12 new.
Yeah, I'm seeing a few different places here where they have it listed for some cheaper prices. But anyway, definitely available out in the wild. I might have to pick up a replacement copy. Yeah. Because like I said, those cards are worn out.
Yep.
Okay, so I will just rattle off a few more here that we got played again that we've talked about in the past. We played Heat, and got to teach that to some new players. When we first started setting it up, I was really excited because we were going to do the draft, and we were going to set up the advanced rules with the modules and all that kind of stuff. I was even for a minute considering that it might be really fun to go ahead and try to do like a full tournament and that kind of thing. But then when I gathered all the people who were interested in playing, because when we did play it at a full 6, so I guess that wasn't quite full because it'll play 7. Yeah. But we played it at 6 players, and half of them had not played it at all, and one of them had only played it once. And so I was like, okay, we'll just stick to the base version of Heat for a learning game. But still had a great time. I love Heat every time we play it. We also got a chance to play Raising Robots again. And I thought that was really fun, that we had some new players at the table, and I think it was a little bit of a rough. I mean, that game can be hard to grok right at first. It's a little bit of a tough one to wrap your head around the first time you play it.
Are you talking the one that I taught?
I wasn't going to say that you taught it, but I'm just saying that I think it was a little bit of a rougher play for some of the people at the table, but I love that game so much. It's so good.
I'm very much on board with that game. But yeah, I did a terrible teach, and I was trying to teach again my daughter Ashley and her boyfriend Zach, and
Brigham.
And Brigham, yeah.
Yeah.
And I have never read the rules, so I was just trying to teach off of memory, and it was a rough teach. And then Ashley was stressed out about some other stuff, and so that got me stressed out. And so I was trying to make it a good experience for her. She ended up walking away from it, but Zach stayed, and Zach ended up liking it.
Yeah, he liked it. I think he really enjoyed it. It just takes a minute to understand how the energy phase of that game works and how you're going to be able to spend certain energy, because some things you spend the energy and some you just want to hit an energy threshold. And so there's definitely some I don't want to say, I don't like the word complication. Like there's, that it's a complex game, but there's definitely some things that are just harder to wrap your head around until you kind of see them in motion a couple of times. And then you usually kind of can wrap your head around it pretty quick. But I just love that game. I thought it was a really fun play. And then we also got to play Silver and Gold a few times. So that was really good as well.
So some of the other games that were taught that I did get to play in, Andy taught Weirwood Manor, which I didn't get to play in, but Andy taught Weirwood Manor, which went really well. He really likes that game, and there's a lot of motion going around with the board twisting.
I really like that game too. Yep.
They were playing it on the table next to us on Thursday as we were preparing for Friday, and Richie was playing with us, and he has all the same complaints where he just got stuck in a door in a room on the first turn and couldn't get out.
I don't know why players who play are like staying on that. So there's kind of rings you play like, and I don't know why people are staying on the outside, because once those hallways start to move, you're going to get locked in the outside. You got to move in. I think the strategy of that game is you get to the center as fast as you can.
Yeah, I think so too.
I've only played it once, so take that with a massive grain of salt. But I can totally see the frustration of being locked out on that outside ring. Definitely.
Yeah. Nathan Tinney taught Creature Comforts, and Greg taught Planted on Friday, which I have no experience with either of those, but they seemed like the tables were very fun.
Yeah, I think both of those went very well.
On Saturday, Greg taught Finding John Carter, which was, I waffle on this game. Do I like this game? Do I not? Do I like it? Do I not? And everybody at the table very much enjoyed this game and very much enjoyed their experience. Several people went out to try to find it and weren't able to find that it was accessible.
I thought he was selling it on Amazon.
Yeah, it was, or he usually does, but maybe he's all sold out right now. He needs to print more.
I hope so. Because I hope he does well. Like that's something that, that's a great problem to have when you design and make a game and they're all sold out. That's awesome.
Yeah. And so he's a self-producer, so he self-produces all of his games. Nathan Tenney also taught Tiny Epic Crimes, and James taught Super Mega Lucky Box, which I actually really kind of like this game.
I saw you guys over there playing it.
Played it, and I ended up playing it another time later with Ashley because she was supposed to be playing that game and didn't make it in time. So we got to play it again later. And then another game, much like your Cthulhu Death May Die, Nathan Tenney ran a session of Return to Dark Tower.
Yes.
And that table had a constant group of looky-loos hanging around the table the whole time it was going on.
Yeah, it's awesome.
We'd brought in a big 50-inch TV that we propped at the end of the game topper so that they could so they could share the
screen. Yep, so everyone can see it.
So it was a nice big screen and everybody could read it. Very enjoyable for those who played. It ran long.
Yeah, it did. But it was an epic play and everyone walked away like, that was awesome, which is really what you want out of a game of Return to Dark Tower.
Yeah.
And at a convention, like, where most people are just playing at the tables, you got to imagine, the setup here, because it's, we've got these nice table toppers that we take, a nice mat. He had all the deluxified painted components, everything.
Yeah, his daughter painted them all.
Yeah, his daughter and his wife. And so they were really, really nice looking miniatures out on the table. Then you've got the nice tower, the big screen that's casting the whole thing there. And, 4 people just having one of the best experiences of their lives, sitting around that table. And those are the kind of things that I love to see and create at these conventions. So I'm glad that went well.
Yeah, it ran almost 4 hours. We allotted 3 hours and it ran almost 4 hours.
That is long. Yeah, that is a little long.
Yeah, but they did have a great time. And on the table next to us, or the next to it, we had Andy running Heroes of Might and Magic 3, and he had inadvertently picked a game that was player elimination, but that game still went, we had allotted 3 hours for it, and it was one that almost went 4 hours as well. Yeah. One player was eliminated. One player was eliminated around the 3 hour mark, and so it was just Andy and this other feller that were playing for almost an extra hour trying to get through it. I really like Heroes of Might and Magic. It does take a long time to play, and it does have a large learning curve, so your gate to entry on it is steep, but once you get going, it was very fun. It keeps you very involved.
Yeah.
And so they were playing we had Return to Dark Tower on one table, Heroes of Might and Magic 3 on another table, and then the last game that I was teaching was Agueda. And my game lasted under an hour.
Nice. Yeah. I need to try that one again. I wasn't wowed by that one.
My wife wasn't either, but my daughter loved it.
Yeah. I don't know why. Like, because it does seem like the kind of game you like. I mean, those tiles are it like almost reminded me a lot of like a Zool with some really tactile stuff. The puzzle seemed pretty fun. I don't know why, because it wasn't like it was a bad teacher or bad experience or anything like that. It just kind of got done playing and it was sort of like, oh, okay, cool. That was that game. And maybe I need to just try it again and see. I don't know if maybe it's the mood that I was in. I don't know. I'm not sure.
So Dave Bremer played with us for that game, and he had a very similar experience. He was like, yeah, I don't know. And it was kind of because there was some elements that I didn't explain very well, but he thought anytime you were trying to attract tourists, you could only add them to the list that was activated that round, or the row that was activated that round.
Oh, okay.
And so he had missed some points here and there.
I actually think that I didn't understand that fully until about halfway through the game as well. So we also had some people at the table that I'm not sure were playing it 100% right. And
oh, really?
I think there were some rules things that might have been just a little bit like, I'm not sure. And I don't know. I can't say that for sure. It just seems like there was maybe a little bit of that, like, kind of cocked eyebrow, like, oh, is that how that works? Kind of thing. I don't know. So maybe I just need to try it again.
Yeah, totally.
So
we should do that.
Yeah.
After we get through with Pirates of Maracaibo, we can play Agueda.
Sounds good.
And then the last game we ran, or Andy ran, was Comet, which is a fairly quick game, easy to teach, and that group loved it and enjoyed that play very much. So
yeah. Okay, so a couple other things. I know we're running long, but I got to talk about a couple more things first. You and I did get a chance to play Tang Garden.
Yes, that was on my list.
Mike taught us that. Now, I had played this game over 3 years ago. So I have technically played this game once. And I remember, I think my gaming sensibilities were a little different back then. And I remember not loving it as much as I probably should have. The game does have some readability issues. So I will say that, as awesome as the components and everything look out on the table, because this is a very beautiful game. But in terms of the iconography, it has some issues.
I agree.
There are some issues with it.
100%. Yes.
And so I still found that to be a little bit annoying, but upon replay, I will say I liked it quite a bit, because the first time that I played it, that I remember just feeling like, meh, it's okay. Not really for me. And then I'm glad that we played it again. And I'm glad that you actually found a copy, because you did find a copy in the swap.
A really cheap copy. For brand new. It was the Lucky Duck version too. So
new and shrink, right?
Yeah. We opened it up and the miniatures look a little bit better than what Mike's original copy was. Mike rebacked it. It did a re-release on Kickstarter.
Yeah,
so
they
his new version, I'm sure, is going to be way superior to mine.
Yeah.
But the miniatures I had were far more detailed. I didn't look at the iconography. I should have looked on that, because
I hope it was clearer.
Yeah, because that iconography is kind of not hit and miss, but kind of just miss.
No, it's mostly just miss. Like you almost need like a player aid to reference what each one of them means.
Yeah,
which is really unfortunate. It's very beautiful. It's kind of like calligraphy style kind of art, but it's small. You can't make out the details, and you look at it and you're like, I don't know which icon that is.
Yeah, well, because the icon's so zoomed in too. Like you had a picture. One of them, the one that troubled me the most was the fish.
Yeah,
and
yes.
It was zoomed in, so you had like most of the fish there, and it was like, if I didn't know that was a fish, there's no way I would say that's a fish.
Okay, yeah.
And there was the swan was the other one that was on my card that was very easy to determine. The bird was pretty easy to determine, but the fish was, I had no idea what that was until Mike told me it was a fish. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, I can see it, but I would never said, hey, that's my fish.
I understand completely what you were saying. Yep. However, that said, I did still really like it. And Mike had printed out some really nice player aids.
Yeah, they were really nice.
So when there was confusion on that kind of stuff, you could look things up fairly easily. And so that did work. It kind of smoothed some of that out. But it was a fun game, and I'm looking forward to playing it again sometime. Okay, and then one final thing that I was going to mention. How familiar are you with Invincible?
I'm aware that it's a TV show. It's not a show that I've ever watched. I'm aware that it's also a game, and the TV show, the animated cartoon, as opposed to a real life cartoon. The animated series wasn't one that pulled me in by any means. So
okay. Yeah. I almost think you need to be a fan of the comics in order to enjoy the show. I think maybe a little bit. I'm not sure. I'm not gonna share too much of an opinion on the Amazon TV show. I think that's kind of just a watch at your own risk sort of thing. But back in the day, this has been years ago, but I read all the comic books. So these are comic books by Robert Kirkman, who also did the Walking Dead and a few others.
Okay.
Anyway, they were really good. I enjoyed them very, very much. That run is done. It's been done for years now. But kind of a really fun take on like superheroes and with a little bit of a darker twist and some I think actually, some ideas that were much better, and in particular some storytelling that was much better than even what Marvel and DC were doing, especially at the time that it was running. So it's a comic book series that I really loved. So I picked up the board game and I took it to the convention, not knowing if we'd get an opportunity to play it. And we had some spare time. And so I grabbed Brigham and Mike and I was like, hey, do you guys want to just like learn this with me? Which is not my favorite thing to do.
Right.
I don't like to just sit down and start from scratch and read the rule book to a table. However, I was kind of feeling like, the rule book wasn't too long. It didn't have a lot to it. And so we sat down, punched it, got it all laid out, started reading through it. Max came over and joined us. He was like, oh, I've wanted to play this. Can I join? And I told him, I was just like, yeah, we're kind of just learning the rules on the fly. He's like, yep, no problem. We can do that. So everyone was really cool about it. And we read through the rules and kind of looked at all the components and everything. And we had, we skipped a little bit where it was our first play. The rule book actually does a really good job at dividing up rules for first play versus full game. Anyway, short story long or
nailed it.
Yeah. Anyway, we got it all settled into the table. This is a bag building game. So
okay.
you draw cubes from a bag to fire off your heroic powers, and you fight villains and minions, and basically have to thwart sort of the overall story objective by doing a bunch of things. And there's 7 stories that come in the base box. You can play them in any order, or you can play them in a campaign. And the experience we had was really, really good. This is a great game. Like, I mean, even if you don't know anything about Invincible, which is totally fine, this game really nailed it. Like,
good.
Yeah, it was really good. And the gameplay, that bag building, super fun. The way you build up your character with superpowers and all these things, really, really great. In fact, I loved it so much that when we got back from the convention the next day, I actually set it up in my game room in the basement.
And you're going to go
and
through it?
I started playing through the campaign. Using the solo rules where you play 2 heroes, and it has some, it plays a little different or whatever, but I've been playing through the campaign, gotten through a few of those games, and it is excellent. Like, really, really excellent. They did a great job on this game.
Well, good.
So
I know that I did see that Ryan, our other emeritus host, and Max played it again. So
yeah, it was funny because we got through playing that first game, and I said, hey, I'd even be willing to play the next one. How are you guys feeling? And Brigham and Mike were like, yeah, totally, we play. But Max was like, I think I'm done, whatever, kind of thing. And so we were like, well, all right, we kind of do have some other things we could play and do. So we went ahead and boxed it up and put it away. And then we went to dinner like a couple hours after that. And Max was like, I can't believe I told you that I didn't want to play that again. Because since we stopped playing, that's all I've been thinking about. And now that's all I want to do is play it. So while we were playing other games, he came over and was like, can I borrow that? I really want to play that again.
Good.
So he borrowed it, and him and Ryan played it, and they really liked it. So good game. I actually highly recommend it. It's good.
Excellent. Well, we are almost, we're at a pretty lengthy episode right now.
For just 2 of us sharing some SaltCON highlights, that was a little bit long.
Yeah. Do we want to touch on some releases real quick? Some announcements?
Absolutely. It's a news episode, so I think we should, but I think we can do it really, really fast. So first of all, some new game releases, some games you can find out in the wild, stuff that's hitting the shelves right now. We may have mentioned this before, but I did notice that Rolling Realms Redux, so the second version of Rolling Realms, I noticed that is hitting a lot of the online retailers since the last time we did a news episode. So I thought I'd mention that one. I'm curious about it. Rolling Realms wasn't my favorite.
It wasn't my favorite either.
But it is a favorite of some of the people, some of the, like Andy and Richie really love it.
And enough, I have Rolling Realms, and enough that now on that side of the table is Rolling Realms Redux right there.
Oh, you've got it.
With its 3 blister packs that are ready to open and give a try. So we'll see how that goes. Haven't gotten to that yet. I don't think any of us have.
Yeah, I'll give it a try. Right.
For sure.
I think the issue with the original one for me was that some of them, like some of the individual cards that you play are really fun and some are not.
Yeah.
And so it's just too hit and miss for me. So if this is full of a lot of really fun, cards that you have to do the roll and write stuff on. I mean, Rolling Realm's kind of an interesting game that way, but if this one has some good ones in it, then maybe I'll like it.
Hopefully. So another new announcement. I don't know. I haven't looked too much into this. I don't know if you're a fan of The Last Airbender, but there is a new game out. It's called Avatar: The Last Airbender Aang's Destiny deck building game.
Oh, okay. I've not heard of this. Yeah.
Yeah, this is it's a deck building game. I don't have a ton of information on it. Just actually came across it before we sat down, so I didn't have the proper time to look at it. But this is something that looks pretty cool. Should be out there, I believe. I'm looking at a website here that says they're out of stock. I'm rambling on about a game I know little of. But Aang's Destiny, Netflix did a live action version of this.
Yeah, I had heard about that.
And my daughter loves The Last Enderbender.
Enderbender. That's right.
That's a much different show.
Yeah.
But I started to rewatch these, and I'm only into it a couple of episodes into the original animated series, and they're pretty clever. They're a little fun, and I can see why my daughter really enjoyed them. But I've got to be able to watch all those before I can watch the Netflix series. So my
kids love Avatar, and they got my wife and I to sit down and watch like the first 3 episodes, I want to say, with them. And it wasn't quite enough for me. Yeah. I mean, it was fun, but it wasn't like, oh, I'm going to watch this whole thing. But they kept telling me, they were like, no, Dad, really, like you just have to get into it, like 5-6 episodes, maybe even the first season, but it's so good. It just gets so good. And I don't doubt that that's true, because I've heard that from a lot of people. And so maybe I just need to push through. So if you're going to keep watching those, let me know how it is.
I'll have to do that.
Yeah, but that's fun. Looks like a fun little game. I did notice there is a new expansion for Ticket to Ride. Now, this is not a game that I play very much, and I'm not an expansion collector for this. However, it's kind of a classic at this point, and it's amazing to me that they keep cranking out map packs and expansions for it. This is Ticket to Ride Iberia and South Korea.
Oh, nice.
And it seems like each one of these maps kind of has its own little twist to the Ticket to Ride formula. And I don't know what the Iberia and South Korea twist is, because I just saw this earlier today. But if you're a Ticket to Ride fan, that's definitely worth going and checking out.
So fun note, my computer just tanked, so I'm having to try to transfer all these from my phone.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
You did have a look of consternation over there while I was talking for a minute. I was wondering if everything was okay.
Yeah, it's doing a reboot and apparently updates. And so perfect time.
Oh, perfect timing.
To do some updates. But Halloween, a game that we've played.
Yep.
And found some enjoyment. Not a theme that I would normally seek after.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
But I've picked it up, and I actually really enjoy Halloween.
Yeah, I think it's really fun. The miss on Halloween in my mind is just that they didn't make it more replayable.
Yeah.
It's the exact same thing every single time, right? It's the same map. It's the same objective for the players. Everything is exactly the same. And I feel like they could have done, even if just flip the map over or flip the board over to another map on the other side and throw in a couple of different, scenarios would have made the replayability on that a little bit better. But I do still really like Halloween. We have had some fun plays of that game.
And so I've picked up the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which is, again, by Trick or Treat Studios. It's a show I've never actually seen.
No, I haven't seen either of those shows. Yeah. I don't do horror movies at all.
I don't either. But we haven't tried this Texas Chainsaw Massacre. But the escape room games I really enjoy.
Okay.
And there is The Shining, Escape from Overlook Hotel. Just lately, I've just been in this theme that if, Halloween was good, I'll try Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Maybe try The Shining.
And now we're going to try The Shining. And Shining is a movie I have seen several times, but
okay. It's another one I have not.
Oh, really? It's not that bad. It's not that scary.
Okay, sure, yeah.
It came out when I was little, and so when I watched it, and one that was really scary for me when I was a little kid was Salem.
Okay.
Which was all about It was actually about vampires, and I just remember the one little kid had been killed, and the one guy was worried about it and jumped down there, and as they were burying the coffin, and the guy, for some reason, decided he was going to go check it out again, so he jumps down there and opens it up. The little kid jumps out. I jumped up, turned the TV off, ran upstairs, and tried to go to bed. I was like, I'm done.
I'm out. Well, it's funny. Okay, so totally side tangent here for just really briefly. I actually work with a guy who used to, in a previous life, manage hotels. And I guess they do a lot of like trainings and hotel people seminar things. I don't know, but I guess they do a bunch of stuff at the place where they recorded The Shining, the hotel. They're in Colorado. Yeah. And he said it's just phenomenal. He says they've like deliberately preserved it so that it still looks like what it looked like in the movie. Yeah. But he said it's just creepy. Like if you've seen the movie, he said it's just insanely creepy to go and see all the halls and the carpet and all this stuff that apparently, again, I haven't seen it, so I don't know, but he's just said it's amazing. So it's funny because I almost have more of a desire to go check out that hotel than I do to actually see the movie. However, if I hadn't seen the movie, the hotel wouldn't be that meaningful.
Yeah, it wouldn't mean as much. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's, I work with a guy, and I'm totally can't remember the name of this hotel either, but his wife just went on a trip back east, and they were staying at the hotel that they filmed Somewhere in Time, the old Christopher Reeve show.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
Many years back, and they went there. His mom, her mom and her went to this, and her mom's up there in years. So Somewhere in Time was a significant movie to her.
Yeah.
And apparently that has a similar experience. I mean, we're way off on a tangent here.
Yeah, totally off, but let's just roll with it for a minute.
Yeah.
That's the old Jane Seymour movie, right? Is that Jane Seymour?
I can't remember.
Somewhere in Time?
Did it.
Okay. Anyway, continue. No, not the director, the actress. The main actress. Christopher Reeves and Jane Seymour? Was that the one?
Yes, I believe that is. Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
I was thinking director, and I was like, I don't know.
I don't know who.
Anyways.
Yeah, whatever.
Neither here nor there. But for dinner, anytime after 6 anyways, to keep the atmosphere, everybody walks around. You have to be dressed up, suit, tie, evening dress, and to go around to dinner. And dinner is a full course meal. And so everything is to the nines. Everything's pinky up. So you have to bring your fancy clothes to enjoy this hotel. And I feel bad I can't remember the name of the hotel.
Yeah. That's funny because I don't really remember that show being that great. I think it's maybe an interesting love story. I don't know. I don't remember it having much of an impact on me. So
I mean, I know
that's cool. It's cool that people do that, though.
Yeah,
right.
It has a very prominent soundtrack that is very well known. So, I enjoy my soundtrack. So
yeah, they filmed some scenes from the Loki TV show at a hotel. I want to say it was in Georgia. I'm pretty sure. It's like those scenes where it's like where like you look up and it's just nothing but glass and elevators, like for that looks like it's just goes up and up and up. Anyway, she was actually there while they were filming that. So they weren't like actively filming, but it was all set up and they had areas of it cordoned off and stuff like that. But she was in Georgia while they did that. So so this has been the Hotel Encounters podcast.
Yes. But anyways, The Shining looks kind of interesting. You're playing the roles of Wendy and Danny, and you're trying to work together to escape and avoid all the psychic influences. And of course, you're trying to avoid Johnny, because all work and no play makes Johnny a dull boy.
Interesting. Yeah. Well, that's very cool. A couple other recent releases: Disney Villainous: Introduction to Evil. I thought this was kind of an interesting product. So this has 4 of the original 6 villains that came in the original Villainous, and I guess they are super streamlined and designed to teach new players how to play Villainous. I thought that was kind of interesting because I've always felt like Villainous was a little bit more of a complicated game than it was marketed as, and so I think that there's probably a good place for this product. So if Disney Villainous is something that you maybe just want to dip your toe in, you can get kind of this introductory box, Introduction to Evil.
Villainous is, as we discussed last time Villainous came up, Villainous is one that I haven't played. I very much would like to, it has a lot of love, so I very much would like to give that a shot.
And I'll be honest, I think you would enjoy the Star Wars stuff more than anything. The Star Wars Villainous, I think, is really good. But it's a fun system. It's very take that-y, but it's in a fun way. It's got a lot of puzzle involved as well. I also noticed that Harmonies is finally hitting shelves. There's actually copies. I know that this was one that has technically released earlier, but it's kind of in stock and you can actually really
back in
get
stock.
it.
Yeah.
This was a game that I thought I really liked until our most recent online play. And I grabbed all this like city cards because I was going to build a lot of cities. And then for the last half of the game, there were no city tiles. The pink tiles that came out, a whole bag full of them, and not a single one read their head. And I was stuck with all the cards that needed cities to score. And I was like, okay. There was nothing to pivot into because I couldn't take new cards. You can't discard the ones that you've taken. So I actually, it's interesting because when this game first came out and I played it a couple of times, I was like, this is a great game. I really like it. And after that happened, I was like, oh, this can actually just totally tank your game and you can't do anything about it because you can't pivot. There's no way
if you have those 4 card slots filled.
If they're filled and you can't pivot into something else, and if the bag doesn't give you something that matches what you're going for on any of those, you're just SOL.
Yep.
So a game that I like with some serious caveats. I know that a lot of people really like Harmonies, and I'm just going to warn people that I don't think it's as good as everyone's saying it is.
I think it's
a good game, but I don't think it deserves the level of praise that people have been heaping on it.
I don't know. I like to praise it. I think it's a great game.
Do you have any other new game releases you want to talk about?
Well, since my laptop crashed, I can't remember what else I had.
You had Foundations of Metropolis.
Oh yeah, you should be able to find that in the wild now.
Yep.
And The Mandalorian.
The Mandalorian and River of Gold.
Yes, all games that I've recently added to my collection.
Very cool.
Mandalorian, I'm really excited. This has a lot of positive
I want to play
hype
that.
to it.
Yep, I definitely want to play that with you.
Storytelling that goes with it. Super excited to give that a shot. And I know I had a ton of stuff on there for new game announcements, but I don't know how much we want to hit on those.
Yeah, we can maybe run through them really quick. I only had a few on my list. Amazonia Park. So this is a new Reiner Knizia game that got announced where apparently you are out trying to collect pictures of the Amazonia, I guess, like you're a photographer. So that seems kind of cool. Res Arcana Duo got announced. So this is a duo version of Res Arcana. Okay, do you remember kind of reverse the game clock a little while? And it seemed like everyone was really into making a roll and write version of their game. It was like everything needed a roll and write. I still feel like that's kind of true, but I feel like it's cooled quite a bit. But there were a couple of years there where it was like, hey, roll and writes are really taking off. How can we make a roll and write version of our game? I feel like we are in the middle of that exact same thing with the duo version of games.
Yeah.
Right? We've just got like the duo version of almost everything coming out these days, right? You've got Everdale, you've got this. And I was looking at the list. I mean, there's a whole host of them. Like everybody wants to make a duo version of their game. In fact, even like a Lord of the Rings, the Duel, which looks really good, but it's essentially just a re-implementation of Seven Wonders Duel.
Yeah.
So just kind of a reskinning with maybe just a couple little tweaks, but play exactly the same. So I think people are really excited about these duo games. I definitely try Res Arcana Duo, but I like the base game so much. I don't know that it's one that I'll wait and see. I don't know if it's one I want.
Yeah, I'm still unsure if I like Res Arcana. Pretty sure I don't.
Yes, you do. Stop it.
A game that really caught my eye that, I always love game names tend to like stick out to me and I'm like, oh, that's a very interesting game name. And so I tend to look into these and read more into these. But this game is called Intent to Kill. This is a 2 to 4 player game.
Interesting that's the title that caught your.
Well, it's unique. Not that I'm like, ooh, I have a lot of intent to kill, but
sure.
You know what, Doug? You made the list now. No.
Dang it.
But Intent to Kill is a thrilling detective noir game in which you find yourself in the middle of a police investigation. You can take on the role of the notorious serial killer, while others shall become an experienced detective following the track. So it sounds like it's a one versus many. The game is different for each of these roles. Murder has a plan while hiding their motive. The detective has to collect evidence and question witnesses, but not all of them are truthful. The name kind of piqued my interest. It's kind of like on the same vein, I guess, that Time You Killed Me.
was
another game that was just kind of picked my mind.
So You've Been Eaten.
Yeah. So, and there's another one that's So You've Been Cursed.
Yeah.
And there's just some of those that they tend to. I like the title. It's an intriguing title.
Sure. No, I definitely get that.
It pulls me in. But this Intent to Kill looks pretty cool. And it's got a pretty high rating on it. It's 7.7. So, I mean, it's not available yet, but it is. I believe it went through crowdfunding.
Very cool. Hey, speaking of games that have titles that really draw you in, because you're not the only one who is a sucker for that. Did you see Moon Colony Bloodbath?
I didn't. I can see why you drew me in too. Because what?
Yeah, Moon Colony Bloodbath, an engine building, engine losing tableau game.
Oh, really?
from Rio Grande Games. Yeah, coming later this year. So I thought this was really interesting. And the description here is quite clever. I mean, you can tell they're doing a lot of like tongue in cheek, kind of campy, fun stuff with this. And I love that. I like almost kind of like what Fallout does. If you're familiar with some of the writing and stories from Fallout, it feels like they're introducing some of that same campiness on this. But the description is cities on the moon. This will be humanity's crowning achievement. At last, no longer bound to Earth, the moon, a stepping stone to the stars. The rockets are loaded with supplies and colonists. The robots are programmed and ready. Everything has been planned down to the tiniest detail, and there is no chance whatsoever of failure. To the moon! And then, of course, the title is Moon Colony Bloodbath. But yeah, it's an engine building, engine losing tableau game. And apparently as cards are flipped, they can do positive and negative things. And a lot of your colonists are going to die over the course of the game. So that one definitely has piqued my interest. I am very interested in Moon Colony Bloodbath.
Yeah. So while we're sticking on this vein, because that's where most of my games came out this time, was picking games where the title stuck out. This one's called We All Take From the River. And I'm pretty sure this is never going to make my shelf nor my list, but it's a 1 to 5 player game because the reason it's not going to be on my shelf is it has a time frame of 90 to 270 minutes.
Oh, why?
Yeah, and so it could be very cool. The reason the name intrigued me, and then the description kind of made me go, I don't know if I like that idea or not. We All Take From the River is an educational game.
Oh, okay. Yes. Teach me something.
So if that's the first line of a game description, how does that grab you?
So no, it really doesn't. And here's the thing. I have no problem with games being educational, but don't market yourself as an educational game. Just stop it.
Yeah, I'm right there with you.
That's like, okay, now I know you have strong feelings about Wingspan, but Wingspan is an educational game. There's a lot, with the birds, with the little synopsis on them, where they're from. Like there's a ton, right? But they're not out there marketing Wingspan as an educational game.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I totally agree. Preach on.
Okay.
Because that's as soon as I read that first line, I was like, well, the title intrigued me, but I don't know if I want to read past line number 1. And so it's a game of resource management and social deduction, which.
Resource management and social deduction. Wow.
So,
okay.
I mean, it has some things that I'm like, that could be, but this is an educational game.
Okay.
I want it to be a fun game, not an educational game.
Yeah. Tell me why I'm going to have fun, not how I'm going to be educated.
So you play as neighbors along the river, each with a unique set of objectives to complete over the course of several days. Sometimes you and your neighbors' objectives will overlap, and sometimes they will clash. So I don't know. I'm intrigued, and maybe if this game is, it doesn't have a price on it yet, not available yet.
Yeah, and it is still in development, and so maybe that playtime will tone down, and maybe their marketing people will have a wake
educational.
Up. Yeah, that's fun. The prototype images that they have up don't look super great, but they are
pretty dry.
Yeah, but they are prototypes, so can't hold that against them. Awesome. Did you have any others you wanted to talk about, Nathan? I don't really have anything else that I wanted to talk about, and it was a little slow for crowdfunding, so I think we can skip that. And this episode's going long anyway, so unless you have anything else, we can wrap it up there.
I did have several games on there, and since I'm having technical difficulties.
So if you go down the list, at least the ones you had in the show notes, you talked about those two. You also had Neon, Lord of the Rings, colon. I don't know.
That was the
which
one you talked about. The
duel.
Duel.
Okay. And then Euro, YRO.
Yeah, that
Euro?
one was, that's one I just pulled up here. The Sunrise Island, home of a small but fearful animal folk, the woodland conclave that reunites all the magical creatures of the forest. The wandering market that travels and trades without rest, and I'm not sure why this stuck out to me in the first place. So there it goes.
Okay. You also had Potions of Azurland.
And that one looked really cool, and maybe I could try to pull that one up. Yeah, that one looked really cool.
Oh yeah, the cover actually has a pretty, an 8.3.
Yeah, this one really excited me.
Yeah.
And then I just got out of it. I love my phone.
In Potions of Azurland, you guessed it, make potions. Oh man, how incredible. Gather resources from the forest, increase your knowledge in various potion types, go to the market to collect and trade goods, then make your potions to drink for unique powers, or fulfill the orders of travelers who come to your town. Okay, interesting. So I could see this being pretty fun. They don't have any images up, just the cover.
Well, and it has tech trees, which are always nice, simultaneous actions, which I really enjoy when a game uses simultaneous action, dice rolling, which you'll love, and I think this game looks pretty cool, and the art on the cover does look good. So
wait, the art this looks like Ryan Lockett. Is this not Ryan Lockett? No, it's Andrew Bosley. Oh, okay. I was gonna say, okay, yeah. Now that I'm looking at it, this definitely has an Everdell feel with the art. Andrew Bosley did Everdell.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Yeah. I was going to say some of those cards looked like they could have been Ryan Lockett. I was like, man, is this another Ryan Lockett game? But okay. Yeah. I am intrigued. That does look pretty interesting.
Yep. So keep an eye out on that one.
You also had Chuhan.
Chuhan was one that I put on there for you because I thought that was it was right up your alley, and it was intriguing enough for me as well.
Oh yeah. Okay. So this is Chinese. Master an ever-changing environment to found China's first dynasty. Very cool.
It is a two-player game.
Oh, the art looks amazing.
Yeah, the
Holy
art is
cow.
very stunning. It is a two-player game, 45 minutes. It's a ladder climbing game, multi-use cards. This might be a two-player game that I kind of just pick up because, I mean, the artwork is fantabulous.
Yeah.
Is that a word?
Yeah. Fantabulous. Yeah, absolutely.
It's totally a word now.
Now, there's obviously no rating. This isn't a game that's out yet.
Correct.
It does have the weight on it is 2.0. Now I'm going to guess that's going to change. I think that's just the default weight.
Sure,
I don't think that's accurate. But yeah, with a 45-minute playtime, that actually looks really good. Cool. I'm going to have to bookmark that one. You also had Tower Up and Loco Momo.
Loco Momo probably shouldn't be on there, but I put it on there because it's on BGA.
Oh, okay.
I will be trying to acquire it so that I can learn it, play it with my wife, and hopefully enjoy it more and more. But yeah, so this Chuhan should be available. It's shown on Amazon that it should be available October 4th. So that's less than a month away.
Sweet. No, I love that. Very good. Okay. Well, a lot of fun games that we got played at the convention. And as always, just a glut of riches when it comes to new things that are shiny and exciting and new coming around the corner.
Indeed.
On that note, until next time.
We'll see you at a convention near you. Well, at least near us. So hopefully we'll see you at a convention near us. And we'll play a game. It'll be good times. 2 room and a boom, maybe.
Sweet.
At the game table.
Thank you for listening and being a part of Meeple Nation. If you would be so kind as to follow, subscribe, share, and rate or review this podcast, it really helps to spread the fun. You can be more involved in supporting the podcast by joining the nation at patreon.com/MeepleNation, or you can find a link at the top of our webpage, meeplenation.com. And while you're there, look at all our extra content. There are links to all our past episodes, a wide variety of blogs, pictures from our Instagram feed, and bios for all the hosts and our awesome bloggers. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, all under Meeple Nation. If you would like to chat with the hosts or other members of the nation, you can join our Facebook group, Meeple Nation Off Air. We hope to see you again at a game night, a con, or maybe a suspense-driven evening of Werewolf. Thank you for listening and supporting Meeple Nation, and stay tuned for next week's episode.
Thank you so much for listening. we very much want to thank our patrons who help keep the podcast running. I personally want to thank my co-hosts for all the help they provide with both content here on the podcast, in addition to what we have available on our website. Without them, the podcast would not happen. If you too would like to support the podcast, you can join the nation at patreon.com/Meeple_nation. Or you can find a link to Patreon at the top of our webpage, meeplenation.com. If you have any questions, comments, or games you feel should be on our radar, you can always reach us at meeplenation@gmail.com. We can't wait to hear from you. I am grateful to Doug and Andy who helped me edit episodes, and I want to thank James and Kim Clark who do the editing on our blogs and on our webpage, which can be found at meeplenation.com. We want to thank Brain Detergent for our music. If you want to find more from him, you can follow his links that can be found on our webpage, or simply search for Brain Detergent on YouTube to find more of his tracks. Thank you again for listening and being part of the Meeple Nation community.